What's up, everybody? As you can see here, I'm back in my college dorm. Spring break is over. Back on the grind, getting back to work. No, I didn't. I know there was some breaking news throughout the NFL. A couple of stories actually towards the end of last week. Sorry I wasn't able to get to those. Yeah, I just was on spring break. Wanted to enjoy time with my family. The time that I have left, or the time that I left on my break. I'll be getting to those videos separately, breaking them down individually. A separate video is coming on the Daniel Jones extension. A separate video is coming on the Chicago Bears trading back in the draft and giving away the #1 overall pick. There will be a separate video on Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Raiders, and there will also be a separate video on Sam Darnold signing with the 49ers. But yeah, anyways, in this video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over briefly all of the big time day one signings that took place in free agency today. And I'll just be giving my brief opinion on them, talking about what moves I like, what moves I didn't like, what I think this does for the team, whether it hurts them, helps them in the long run moving forward. And yeah, anyways, let's get into it. So, first thing I wanted to talk about was Jalen Ramsey, the Los Angeles Rams cornerback, star corner. Some argue he's the best corner in the league. Was traded to the Miami Dolphins in exchange for a third-round pick and tight end Hunter Long. Not a lot of people know who Hunter Long is. I didn't even know who he was until, well, the trade broke yesterday. And so, yeah, I think this move sort of helps out both teams. The Dolphins now get an even better roster. I thought their roster was loaded before. Now they get arguably the best corner in the game. If not the best corner in the game, he's easily top 5. And if you're the Rams, well, you're just getting more draft capital. I mean, you need draft capital if you're the Rams. You've been trading it away ever since, even before the Sean McVay era started, when you drafted Jared Goff. I mean, I think that was the last time you had a first-round pick, was when you drafted Jared Goff back in 2016. So, obviously, the loss of Ramsey hurt your team a little bit, but in the end, you get draft capital in return. And yeah, like I said, the Dolphins, they get more depth. They're going to be able to compete more in that division and in the playoffs. Excuse me. Very tired. Exhausted from this daylight savings. But anyways, next up, this news broke shortly before the negotiation period was able to start this morning. And that is that the New England Patriots traded tight end Jonnu Smith to the Atlanta Falcons in exchange for a 7th-round pick. And I think this honestly helps out both sides too. I mean, you got the Patriots. I didn't really think you'd be able to get anything for Jonnu Smith on the trade market, but yeah, they were able to actually get something for him. Jonnu Smith, he was the former tight end for the Titans. The Patriots signed him in free agency a couple seasons ago when Belichick spent all that money. But Jonnu Smith, he hasn't really been productive in New England. He hasn't even been their #1 tight end. That's been Hunter Henry. And yeah, I just feel like #2 tight end for the Patriots is not really a huge need right now. They want to go after wide receivers, continue to bolster their offensive line and defense. And yeah, you really only need one tight end in this league nowadays, and they already have theirs. As for the Falcons, they need weapons. I mean, now you have your #2 to Kyle Pitts. You have Drake London, Cordell Patterson, a quarterback you think is your future, apparently, in Desmond Ridder. And yeah, I like this move for Atlanta, and for both teams for that matter. So next up, right after this trade broke, again, before the negotiation period, the Atlanta Falcons made another move, and they extended their guard Chris Lindstrom to a 5-year, $105 million deal. I like this move too. I think Chris Lindstrom, he's one of the top guards in the game. This offensive line for Atlanta has arguably been declining. And again, you have a young quarterback, protect him. And I think Lindstrom's going to really be able to help with that and Arthur Smith's offensive system. And then later on, once everything took place in, afternoon Eastern time, 12 o'clock Eastern time, when the negotiations started. Seattle ended up releasing defensive tackle Shelby Harris only 1 year after the Russell Wilson trade. Remember, in return for trading Russ, the Seahawks got draft picks, Drew Lock, Noah Fant, and Shelby Harris. Honestly surprised by this move because Shelby Harris, I think, is a very good defensive tackle, and they sort of need help up front. So I don't entirely agree with the Seattle move, but yeah, Shelby Harris, I mean, my Bears, for example, we need a better run defense. We need defensive tackle help. So I'd be interested in Shelby Harris. I think he's a good defensive lineman. He's good at defending against the run. Yeah, I don't really get what Seattle was doing here, but yeah. So then the Houston Texans signed Robert Woods, the wide receiver, to a 2-year, $15.25 million deal. Woods was a part of the Rams team that went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff, and he then went to the Titans. Didn't work out, so now he's on the Houston Texans. And I can't say I like the move for Robert Woods, but probably didn't have much of a market. He wants to keep playing, and Houston, well, they need help everywhere. I think Woods is still a solid receiver. Definitely not a 1. Not sure he's even a 2, but solid 3 for sure. And so, yeah, I can see why Robert Woods did this, and I like the signing for Houston. Next up, we have my Chicago Bears signing Philadelphia Eagles linebacker TJ Edwards to a 3-year, $19.5 million deal. Yeah, I mean, I'm more biased to this probably because I'm a Bears fan, but I don't really like this move. I mean, I know he's a really good linebacker, but I'm tired of just signing linebackers. We don't need linebackers. Linebackers don't win Super Bowls. I want more weapons. I want offensive line help. If we are going to go after defense, address our front four. Linebacker, no. I know we didn't have any linebackers on their contract, but still, come on. Come on. TJ Edwards, yeah, I mean, Philadelphia probably couldn't afford him. They have to pay a lot of people. So good for TJ Edwards. The contract isn't that bad for Chicago, so I'm not too mad about that, but yeah. Then the New England Patriots decided to re-sign cornerback Jonathan Jones to a 2-year, $20 million deal. Yeah, I think it's a fine signing. Jonathan Jones, he's a solid corner. You're not paying him a lot, and Belichick wants to keep his defense hot, and that's what's going to happen here. Jonathan Jones will continue to be the good corner he is. He's going to continue to help Belichick have a great defense. Belichick will be happy. Everyone will be happy. So, yeah. And then the Baltimore Ravens decided to part ways and release defensive end Calais Campbell. Yeah, I like Calais Campbell. I understand why they're doing it. He's getting older, less productive, more injured, and they probably just thought it was best to move on. And I think my Bears excuse me. I think my Bears do need help at the edge rush position. But Calais Campbell, I wouldn't go. I don't want the Bears to sign Calais Campbell. He's past his prime. He doesn't have a lot of time left. Phenomenal career. Did great things for the Jaguars. He was a part of that Saxonville defense in 2017. He did some good things for the Ravens, and I still think he has a bit left in the tank and can be productive in some situations with other teams. But, yeah, wherever he goes, it will probably be a cheap deal and nothing more than that. So then some other news broke. Not a signing, not a trade, but Philadelphia Eagles future first ballot Hall of Fame center Jason Kelce, brother of Travis Kelce, announced he was returning. This is great for Philly. I believe Lane Johnson is also coming back. So you're still going to have a really good offensive line next year. And when you have a dual threat quarterback, well, it's way easier for him. it can create more holes in the run game. This is just going to benefit Philadelphia very well that Kelsey's returning. So then the Denver Broncos decide to sign Baltimore Ravens guard Ben Powers to a 4-year, $52 million deal. Love the move. One of the criticisms I had on Denver going into last season was their offensive line was not very good. I knew Russell Wilson was able to work with a battle line in Seattle, but I just thought it was time for Russ to get some respect. And now that's what they're doing. Ben Powers, he's a phenomenal guard, one of the top guards on the market, and I'm glad they have him locked up for a while. As far as Baltimore goes, I'm not really sure, why they'd give up a guard. I mean, they need offensive line help, especially, whether it's Lamar Jackson or whoever it is slinging it back there. They need offensive line help. But, I get it. Ben Powers was probably asking for too much. Maybe this is sort of a way that they can try and afford Lamar Jackson now. I don't know. But, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Then the San Francisco 49ers decide to sign Philadelphia Eagles defensive tackle Javon Hargrave to a 4-year, $84 million deal. Hargrave was viewed by a lot of people as the top free agent on the market. What do I think of this for both sides? Philly, obviously, I mean, we knew this. They couldn't pay everyone on that defense. They were going to have to move some people, so it's not a shock that Hargrave is gone. As far as San Francisco goes, I think this... you're not going to be able to run the ball in San Francisco. That's all I can say. I mean, they have Javon Hargrave, Eric Armstead, and Fred Warner. Yikes. And, yeah, I mean, maybe you overpaid for him a bit, but they want to win now. San Francisco wants to win now, so I can understand why they did that. And then Denver goes ahead, and they sign San Francisco 49ers offensive tackle Mike McGlinchey to a 5-year, $87.5 million deal. Well, as a Bears fan, I'm very disappointed that we weren't able to sign him, but Denver fans should be happy. I mean, offensive line gets even better now, assuming they're able to keep Dalton Risner somehow. You have Ben Powers as your other guard, now McGlinchey as your right tackle. I can't remember who their left tackle is, but he's really good. I'm telling you, Denver, they're going to be a lot better next year with Sean Payton and this rebolstered offensive line. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And, as far as San Francisco goes, they're paying a lot of people, and they probably thought, well, McGlinchey's asking for way too much. We don't need to pay this to our right tackle. We'll go out and get somebody else. So I think this, makes sense for both teams. And some other news broke. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers decide to release guard Shaq Mason, so that's another offensive line on the market that people can go after. And I'm not quite sure what Tampa's doing. Maybe they're doing a bit of a reboot. I'm not sure. They let go of their left tackle Donovan Smith not too long ago. Now they're letting go of their guard Shaq Mason, so their offensive line is getting much, much worse for whichever signal caller they intend to put back there in 2023, whether that is the young Kyle Trask, where they want to go out and try and get a Baker Mayfield, or someone like that. I don't really know. There's not a lot of quarterbacks left on the market, to be honest with you. But yeah, not sure what Tampa's doing. Best of luck to Shaq Mason, though. Ryan Poles, the Bears GM, I'm trying to sign him. So then, some news that not a lot of NFL fans are probably too happy to hear, if you don't like parody. The Kansas City Chiefs decide to sign Jacksonville Jaguars offensive tackle Jawan Taylor to a 4-year, $80 million deal. So we start to think their offensive line's getting worse because they're not going to bring back Orlando Brown, and they're getting rid of Andrew Wiley. But it doesn't matter. They're going to sign one of the best tackles on the market. Jawan Taylor, he's going to make Patrick Mahomes' day so much easier. I'm not quite sure what Jacksonville was thinking letting him go. I think you need to protect Trevor Lawrence. Your offensive line isn't that great as it sits right now, or as it sat before this happened, and now it definitely isn't that well constructed as we speak. But yeah, congrats to Kansas City, because your offensive line is going to remain one of the best in the league, even after the Orlando Brown and Andrew Wiley departures. So then the Buffalo Bills decide to sign Dallas Cowboys guard Connor McGovern to a 3-year, $23 million deal. For Buffalo, of course I like this. You you're not paying him a lot. He's a star guard. I didn't think you needed a lot of help on the offensive line. But when you're paying a really good guard, not a lot of money, why not? Why not give Josh Allen extra protection? As far as the Cowboys go, yeah, I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, your offensive line is already getting old, and Dak's not a particular mobile quarterback. Now you're not giving him a lot of protection. So don't get the move for Dallas, but I don't get a lot of moves that Jerry Jones makes. So yeah, good for Buffalo. Dallas, I don't know. And so then some news that broke earlier is the Baltimore Ravens decide to trade safety Chuck Clark to the New York Jets in exchange for a 7th-round pick. Kind of like the Jonnu Smith trade. I'm surprised we were able to get anything for Chuck Clark. He's a solid veteran safety, but nothing more than that. Don't mind that the Ravens moved off him at all. However, I do think he will benefit Robert Saleh's young defense. He'll give that veteran presence and still be semi-productive in his final years in this league. So then the Philadelphia Eagles decide to re-sign defensive end Brandon Graham to a 1-year, $6 million deal. Brandon Graham didn't want to test the market. He was loyal to his city and to his fans. He wanted to come back to Philly. So him and Philly worked out a deal to bring him back. Solid move for Philly. Brandon Graham is a good edge rusher. And hey, if Brandon Graham's in, why not? Why not come back if you don't care about money and you just want to win and continue to play the game you love and show loyalty. So anyways, then the Washington Commanders sign Kansas City Chiefs offensive tackle Andrew Wiley to a 3-year, $24 million deal. Well, again, I don't think Washington's offensive line was that bad to begin with. This just helps their all-line so much more for whoever the signal caller is back there. And yes, Kansas City, I know you signed Jawan Taylor, but I don't know why you're continuing to give up all these offensive linemen. Maybe you draft them well, maybe you know what you have, but yeah. Like the move for Washington, don't necessarily hate the move for Kansas City. This is just kind of like a move like, whatever. And he's going to get about $8 million a year. It's solid. And so then the Pittsburgh Steelers go ahead and sign Minnesota Vikings veteran cornerback Patrick Peterson to a 2-year, $14 million deal. Just had to check to make sure that was clear. And so, yeah, I mean, it doesn't help Minnesota with a defense that struggled last year. I really like Patrick Peterson. He was one of their best defensive players last season. But hey, I mean, Pittsburgh is a team I'm surprised isn't addressing the offensive line. But, and we'll get to this later on in this video, Pittsburgh just lost one of their corners, so I get, replacing him with Patrick Peterson. Pittsburgh always has a good defense under Mike Tomlin. Actually, let me rephrase that. They always have a great defense under Mike Tomlin, so don't see why that will be changing next year whatsoever. And so then the Atlanta Falcons decide to continue to make more big moves and sign Cincinnati Bengals safety Jesse Bates III to a 4-year, $64.02 million deal. For the Bengals, I mean, you don't need 2 star safeties, so I don't mind that you gave him up, especially since he wanted the bag. In Atlanta, hey, you don't really have a lot of help on defense. Jesse Bates III, he's going to give you a ton of help, and I think he's worth every penny you gave him. Excuse me. So then, my Chicago Bears go ahead and sign Buffalo Bills linebacker Tremaine Edmunds to a 4-year, $72 million deal. I don't like this move. Edmunds is a solid linebacker. He doesn't deserve that much money. And again, we didn't really, I think, need linebacker in the first place. Now we have 2-star linebackers. Okay, great. But it's just linebackers, folks. What are we doing? And everyone's hyping up Ryan Poles, and he has made some good moves, but these linebackers, I just think are super questionable for my Bears. As far as Buffalo goes, I mean, they just re-signed Matt Milano, who had a really good season at linebacker a couple weeks ago, not too long ago, something like that. So, fine for Buffalo. And I mean, he's good, but come on, Chicago. Again, I'm being biased, but come on. But then the Chicago Bears sort of redeemed themselves when they signed Tennessee Titans guard Nate Davis to a 3-year, $30 million deal. I had a Chicago Bears wish list, offseason wish list on who I wanted us to acquire this offseason, and Nate Davis was on there. He's going to help our offensive line a lot. I still think we need more help from an offensive line standpoint, but Nate Davis is certainly a step in the right direction. And if you're the Titans, well, your offensive line's already declining. Not sure why you gave him up. He didn't even cost that much. But yeah, is what it is. So anyways, then the Detroit Lions, like I was speaking of earlier, decide to sign Pittsburgh Steelers cornerback Cameron Sutton to a 3-year, $33 million deal. So this is interesting because a lot of people thought the Lions were going to go corner with their first round pick. But now why would you do that? Because you have Jeff Okudah and Cameron Sutton. So we're going to get into that in future mock draft videos. But yeah, now you're looking at, they're probably going to go after like another edge rusher to pair up alongside Aiden Hutchinson. Or hey, maybe even quarterback of the future. I mean, we'll get into more Lions stuff and stuff like that later. We will. Don't worry. So anyways, then Carolina decides to sign Cincinnati Bengals safety Vonn Bell. Details of that contract have not been worked out yet. I double-checked multiple times before filming this video, guys. And yeah, the deal hasn't been necessarily worked out yet. They just plan on signing him. He plans to sign there. For Carolina, it's a solid move. They already have a young defense that I like. Vonn Bell will add to that, of course. But for Cincinnati to lose both your safeties, I don't like that. I mean, I know it's safety, but still, something doesn't just sit well with me when it comes to that. Their secondary's falling apart, and it's something that I think really benefited them against teams like Kansas City last year and the year prior when they went on their Super Bowl run. And so next up, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers re-signing cornerback Jamel Dean to a 4-year, $52 million deal. Good for Jamel Dean. He's getting paid. He's playing in a warm climate on his team. He doesn't have to change or move anywhere. Tampa, I don't mind you bringing back Jamel Dean, but kind of an expensive deal, I feel, for him. Other than that, everything's fine with this. And so then the Denver Broncos continue to make more big moves and sign Arizona Cardinals defensive end Zach Allen to a 3-year, $45.75 million deal. Denver, why not add another pass rusher? I mean, why not? I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Jimmy Garoppolo in your division. I mean, you have to. You have to continue to add pass rushers. Denver's heading in the right direction, folks. Zach Allen's a young, great kid. I like where this team's going. As far as Arizona goes, I mean, they're a tire fire, folks. It's as simple as that. I don't even want to talk Arizona. There's nothing else to say other than Kyler Murray's completely immature and the team's falling apart and poorly run. So then the Los Angeles Chargers decide to sign Minnesota Vikings linebacker Eric Kendricks. Sort of like the Vonn Bell deal, this hasn't been worked out yet. We don't know how long the deal is or how much money it's worth. We just know they are planning to sign him and he is planning to sign there. Yeah, I mean, you're just adding more talent if you're the Chargers. Drew Tranquil is a pending free agent. I guess he is a free agent now that the league year is basically started. I don't know if the league year starts on the 15th when everything's processed and actually happening, or today when the negotiations happen. But yeah, even if Drew Tranquil leaves, you still have Eric Kendricks to line up as alongside Kyle Van Noy. So I really like that. I like this move for the Chargers, and I like this move for Eric Kendricks. I think both teams, or the Chargers, are going to work this out. Kendricks is going to work this out. And the Vikings, they didn't want him back, so, it is what it is. So then the Tennessee Titans go ahead and decide to sign Philadelphia Eagles offensive tackle Andre Dillard to a 3-year, $29 million deal. Remember Andre Dillard, he got drafted in the first round a few years ago. Didn't work out in Philly. They decided to move off of him, especially since Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson are coming back. Tennessee, as we discussed earlier, is losing offensive linemen left and right. I think Dillard's going to be able to provide very well at left tackle for whoever their signal caller is this season. And you're not even paying him that much, so I really do like this deal for both sides. I think this works out for Philly, Andre Dillard, and Tennessee. So good for all of them. And so then the New York Giants decide to sign Indianapolis Colts linebacker Bobby Okereke. I might be butchering the name, sorry if I am. And that deal was 4 years, worth $40 million. Bobby, he's a good linebacker, so, good for the Giants. They're continuing to build up their defense. Indy, it appears, didn't really want him, so good for everyone there. Not a lot to discuss there, but Bobby is considered a good linebacker. Not Bobby Wagner, Bobby Okereke, or I'm sorry, I'm being disrespectful at this point. But yeah, and then the Carolina Panthers decide to re-sign their center, Bradley Bozeman, to a 3-year, $18 million deal. Love this move for Carolina. It's a cheap deal. You get to bring back one of the best centers in the game, and your offensive line continues to grow and grow and grow for Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or whoever the hell the quarterback is that you take number 1 overall going into next year. And then Seattle decides to sign Denver Broncos defensive tackle Dre'Mont Jones to a 3-year, $51 million deal. I mean, there's not much more to say than this is a good move. You wonder why they lose Shelby Harris, and this is why they wanted to bring in Dre'Mont Jones, the other Denver defensive tackle, because they got Shelby from Denver last year as defensive tackle, and now they're getting another defensive tackle from Denver the following year in Dre'Mont Jones. Like the move, Dre'Mont Jones is going to be able to help their run game, or the run defense, and Denver, they'd rather have Zach Allen and Mike McGlinchey and all these other guys that they're spending on. So I like what they're doing. I like what Denver's doing. I like what Seattle's doing. And good for Dre'Mont Jones for getting his bag. He deserves it. And so then the Houston Texans decide to sign safety Jimmy Ward. Again, sort of like the Von Bell and Eric Kendricks contract, this hasn't been worked out yet. We don't know how long, how much money. We just know Jimmy wants to play in Houston, and Houston wants Jimmy to play for them. Jimmy Ward comes over from San Francisco. He was in DeMeco Ryans' system over there, so that's how the two know each other, as DeMeco Ryans is the new head coach for Houston. But, yeah, so what do I think of the move? Houston needs help. Jimmy Ward needs a place to play, so works out for both of them. If you don't know who Jimmy Ward is, remember he's the safety in the NFC Championship back in 2022. Where he could have gotten the interception for San Fran, but he drops it. Rams end up winning, going to the Super Bowl and winning it. So, yeah, he's that guy. But, hey, it's Houston. They need anyone at this point. And so then there was a questionable move where the New Orleans Saints re-signed quarterback Jameis Winston to a 1-year, $6 million deal. I don't get this move at all. I mean, you just brought in Derek Carr. It's best to part ways with Jameis Winston, even if he's your backup. I don't like this move for New Orleans, and to be frank, I don't know if I like it for Jameis Winston. I think it's best if both of these guys had just parted ways, but that didn't happen, and you look on the bright side for New Orleans, it's a cheap deal. And so, hold on, folks, just let me make sure this is everything. Okay, one more move, and then that'll be it. The Minnesota Vikings decide to sign New Orleans Saints defensive end Marcus Davenport to a 1-year, $13 million deal. I, for one, as a Bears fan, wanted Davenport. I thought he would address our pass rush and be very productive for us. So, yeah, Minnesota, they're going to get a very good pass rusher to pair up alongside Daniel Hunter. As a Bears fan, that terrifies me to have to go up against them twice a year. That's going to be one of the best pass rush duos in the league. New Orleans, they're in cap hell, so makes sense for them, makes sense for Minnesota, makes sense for Davenport. Even though it's not a lot of money for Marcus Davenport. But then again, he is getting old, so it makes sense. And yeah, folks, long video, but hey, we got through it. Hope I gave my opinions very well to you all. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up for day 1 of NFL free agency. I will be posting a video tomorrow on day 2 of NFL free agency. And then on Wednesday, I'll be posting another video on day 3 of NFL free agency. After that, there will be no more free agency videos. There will just be separate videos such as the Daniel Jones video, the Jimmy Garoppolo video, the Bears trading down video, Sam Darnold video, and any other big stories will be their own videos. So yeah, folks, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Very tired, but thanks for tuning in. And yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will talk to you guys in the next one.